What we've got here this week is Sujo. Oh, well, see, I said it wrong. Suho, directed by Astrid. I'm going to get these names right. Astrid Rendero and Fernanda Valadez. Do really quick, you might mention Suho is played by Juan Jesus Varela, maybe, who I believe might be old Suho because there's young and old in this. I think that might be the old Suho, who's probably the second half to two-thirds of this movie. And then Nemesio, his aunt, played by Yadira Perez. There's like four parts of this movie. They have title cards that come up. It's kind of an indie movie thing to do, but I think it works pretty well here. The parts being Hozu or Jozu the eighth, and then you have part two is Nemesia, part three is Hai and Jeremy, and then part four is Susan. Well, first of all, before the basic concept, this is one of those movies that is definitely not going to work for some people, and I think Eric might be one of those people. He might dig it fairly well, but I think the it's one of those very slow-paced, contemplative, gentle, almost like tree of life level of calmness narratives, dramas that I know a lot of times indie dramas that can drive Eric crazy. I think there's a point to this movie. I think it has a narrative arc and a character arc, but there might not be enough there for people who are more in Eric's camp, and they might be drawn out of this movie, and the pace might hurt their experience. So that's kind of my big warning for people. So I know what you're going into with this movie. All of that being said, I did enjoy it quite a bit. The basic concept is it starts out with, and I said before, the Yosu or Josu the Eighth. That is Sujo's. I'm going to say these names wrong all the way along. Just to say Sujo and just know it's wrong. That is Sujo's father. And right off the bat, you see him. You get the idea really quickly. He is a Sicario, and they basically live in. I didn't write down the area, but it's one of the areas that's very high cartel activity down in Mexico. And very quickly, you have this scene where Sujo is in the back seat of a car. His dad's there. The dad stops, says, "Hey, wait here in the car. I'll be back for you." And a lot of times it sticks with Sujo's point of view, whatever's happening. So you see the father walking away. Sujo's still sitting in the car. He's a little kid at that point. It's hot. It's Mexico. Someone has to come and find Sujo and get him out of the car. And basically, at that point, his father's not dead, but very quickly his father is gone. Just gone and dead and disgraced because, if you wrong the cartels, they make you disappear pretty violently, pretty quickly. And then you are basically your name is, traitor or whatever in that area. And lo and behold, because of that, very quickly people are trying to hunt down Sujo as a little kid. That's kind of the basic part of this movie. And then very early on, he's taken in by his aunt, Nemesia. Did I say her name right? Nemesio. And then the movie kind of becomes her taking care of him as a little kid very early on, and her sister and her little kids, which are the other two names that you heard in the names of the parts. So it's kind of like a little kid kind of having to live in a sort of a mini exile. Like they're out in the country, out in the countryside, not far from the city. But the idea is if they show their face, if he shows his face in the city, he'll be remembered. He is the son of Juso the Eighth. He has to basically live this kind of isolated life with just his cousins and his aunts, his aunt and out there just living with this kind of legacy. Then it makes this kind of transition. And as it goes forward, you get a time jump. He's older. He's, like a mid to late teenager, and he's kind of still living in the same place, still living with the same people. He's been isolated this whole time. He's got kind of this legacy. His dad had a car, and having a car is kind of the sign of being probably affiliated with the drug cartel in the area because it's a very poor area. And the car had just been kind of left off in the bushes as kind of his 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 legacy, right? That's all he has from his dad, pretty much. Immediately, the idea behind this movie is, can you escape? Can you overcome? Can you become something different with such a notorious lineage behind you? When everyone knows your dad as essentially a villain and a disgraced villain, a traitorous villain to that area, are you destined to become that? Is that what you have to become? And this movie very, very, I think, deftly kind of just watches Suho wrestle with this and just kind of work his way to see where he can go with his life. And it goes through several phases, which I won't go into. You kind of discover those as they happen. Oh, you do discover I know early on I was wondering, like, why is his dad called the Eighth? What's that thing about the Eighth? And you discover that, once again, this isn't a spoiler. This is just an explanation, which I thought was kind of helpful to know up front, because one of the young men he knows when he's, in his teens gets a tattoo on his chest, and the tattoo he gets is it's a number. It's like, I don't know, 28th, 34th, something like that. The number is basically what the cartel considers your level of fierceness. So it's kind of not only it's kind of your tattoo kind of says, you are now one of us. You are marked. You are kind of accepted as a person in this group, but also it's showing people very quickly how fierce you are, how terrifying you are, how violent you are. So a number like 39 would be like, okay, you're here, but you're not in the top 10. Well, obviously, Suho's father was in the top 10. He was at number 8. So that just kind of gets an idea of how kind of renowned he was in that world, and how probably whatever he did that was considered traitorous, how big of a stain that is on their family. And of course, therefore onto Suho, he is also basically marked by the legacy of his father. So yeah, I think this is a really interesting and cool movie. We've had a few of these this year, and I wish I could the names go out of my brain, but I have them in my letterbox. You can find it. One was Mountains, I think, about Haitian immigrants. There was another one about these two sisters that kept having to go down and visit their father. Kind of the legacy of this kind of deadbeat father, and having this kind of ongoing experience. And I think this kind of also falls into a similar place, different story altogether, but just kind of a similar emotional movie experience place for this year. But really, it's a really quite effective movie. Once again, I think I'll go 4 stars in this. The pace and the length was a little bit, to me, a slight detriment. Just there's a few moments where I think it could have tightened itself up a little bit. Although that is really, that's a minor complaint on my part. Overall, I was very interested and very entertained by Suho. Check it out, and it probably is not going to go to many theaters. So, and I think I might have been the only one that watched it this week.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. For more movie and television reviews and interviews, please subscribe to my Deepest Dream channel. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always, thanks so much for your support. Take care. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. For more movie and television reviews